What's up guys, Tommy with Studio Sense here. Thanks for stopping by to check out today's video. If you came here looking for a first impressions video of a relatively new release in 2023, you came to the right place. If you were looking specifically for a Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense first impressions, sorry, that's not what we're doing. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be taking a closer look at this brand new release. Now, closely following on the heels of Coral Fantasy, which I really actually liked, which was their very kind of intense gourmand, kind of sweet apple oriented fragrance. They've come out with this, and just looking on the outside of the package, it looks very similar. You've got that kind of coral or pink kind of color in the wording and the lettering there, but we'll take a closer look at the presentation and kind of focus in on the fragrance, smell it, and again, I'll give you my first impressions when we come back, so stay tuned. Welcome back everyone, hope you're comfortable wherever you are and ready to listen to my first impressions of a brand new release. This one is Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense. Now the Born in Roma line has had some pretty decent flankers released to it. Some of the flankers have gotten some really good feedback, others not so much. Any new release that carries the word intense, the idea behind that is that this fragrance is going to pack a spectacular punch, but that's not always the case, aka Chrome Extreme. I mean, extreme, I don't know, extreme and intense. When you compare those two, which one has more action, extreme or intense? Extreme seems like it does because it's like the extreme of something. Intense is like on a spectrum from here to there, maybe somewhere in the middle or towards the end. I'm hoping though that this Born in Roma Intense is going to be actually an intense version of the Born in Roma fragrance as a flanker. For me personally, I've been a pretty good fan of the fragrance line so far, so really looking forward to Born in Roma Intense. Before we do anything else though, in typical fashion, let's take a look at the presentation. The box is overall black, but it does have a bit of a cubist texture. On the front says Valentino Uomo in pink lettering. On the bottom it says Born in Roma Intense Eau de Parfum 100 ml bottle. The sides contain no information except for a very small QR code on the left side. On the back of the box is of course your ingredients listing, packaging information, an address, and a UPC code. On the bottom of the box you have some additional stickers, some additional packaging information, along with the batch code of 38WN as in Nancy, 02M as in Mary. On the inside of the box it says use this unique code on valentinobeauty.com and enjoy special rewards. The bottle is the same as the previous Uomo Born in Roma flankers, however this has a very dark, rich looking gradient starting from the top of the bottle and working its way down. At the very bottom before it hits glass we see the most color, which is a pinkish, like a dark pinkish color, which seems to match the font color on the leather plate on the front of the bottle. The cap is black plastic, very light, and it does snap in place. The atomizer is black with a white aperture, so it's easy to see. Really, there's nothing super new to see here. I do like the kind of ritzy looking gradient that's going on. It's pitch black at the top, gets a little bit lighter until you can see some of that very kind of a darker pink at the very bottom, so it becomes a little bit more transparent at the bottom, and then you hit this very clear glass. The bottle has that glass barbed feel, which is very well known to be Uomo Born in Roma. Overall, a great looking presentation. Again, not much different from Coral Fantasy. I'm going to go ahead and waste a spray here to show you guys, and when I say waste a spray, I'm going to also smell it in the air. It throws out a bunch of juice in a single spray. So if you're going to be spraying this on pulse points, make sure it's away from your face a little bit so it covers a wider radius instead of blasting you really up close and it kind of runs down just like you've overloaded your paintbrush or your roller when you're painting a wall. Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense features top notes of vanilla and ginger, with heart notes of lavender and nutmeg, resting on a base of smoked vetiver. Okay, so while I really like that overall scent profile, amber-oriented fragrances, not a ton of published notes in this one. With the amount of notes that are in the fragrance, and in particular, vanilla, which is typically a base note, is making an appearance in the open. So you've got vanilla. Vanilla as a carrier pushing that vanilla forward is ginger. Then you've got lavandin, which again, as I often say when I talk about lavandin, is just a more camphorous or a more powerful or potent version of lavender. A little bit of nutmeg, which acts as a bit of a courier to some heavier, denser notes that are around it, like the lavandin, vanilla, and then in the base, smoked vetiver. Again, very heavy, very dense, yet dry, elegant kind of fragrance. I've already shown you what the bottle sprays like. I've got it in the air, smelled it, really like it. It is a very potent fragrance, and in this case, intense is an appropriate adjective to describe the fragrance. It packs a decently powerful punch, especially when you smell it in the air. Let's try it out on skin. Again, you get quite a bit in a single spray, so just be wary if you're using it up close to your face, around your eyes. I can say straight up, one thing I really like about Born in Roma Intense is that it varies quite a bit from the sweetness that's in Coral Fantasy. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm coming from the place that I really like sweet fragrances. But what I like about this, the intensity, sometimes sweetness, because it tends to be a little bit heavier and it tends to pull way fragrance down. Sweetness can, and it does. And that's what happens in Coral Fantasy, not necessarily a bad thing. In this case, the sweetness doesn't do that because it dissipates rapidly. You get this sweet infusion of vanilla and ginger immediately, but because they're using that more powerful cousin of lavender, lavandin, which again has a very aromatic aspect of it, which is a bit more powerful than typical lavender, that's hitting hard in the mid of the fragrance. It opens up very sweet, very creamy, but it does pack a decently powerful punch in the open. That momentum of that punch is carried forward in the heart with that lavandin. Courier of the lavandin, kind of giving it a more meaty, slightly nutty feel, is the nutmeg. Don't really get a lot of vetiver in the open and in the mid of this fragrance. As it dries down, the intensity isn't necessarily going away or dissipating. It's just taking on a bit of a different form. I really like it. I actually like it a bit more than I thought that I would. In fact, I was going to hold off on this one because of the price tag. It's a bit more expensive. That's how you know when it's carrying some denser, heavier, or more of a profusion of quality notes, is when it's a bit more expensive. So I was going to wait on this one, but I went ahead and purchased it because I wanted to give you guys my first impressions, but also my curiosity got the best of me. I'm really glad that I did because it's very, very good quality. And the potency, the powerfulness, the intensity is actually there, as opposed to some other fragrances that like to throw those adjectives about, but they don't really live their name. They disappoint to some degree. I, for one, do not think Born in Roma Intense is going to disappoint, at least very much, unless you have your expectations way up in the clouds. It's a very potent, powerful, intense version of that Born in Roma DNA. And as a flanker, it does carry that Born in Roma kind of vibe to it. It is a bit different. What I like about it is it carries that creamy vanillic sweetness, powerful punching ginger there, which creates this incredible aromatic kind of fougere experience without sacrificing the Born in Roma kind of scent profile or standard. It's definitely stamped into that scent profile. Now again, it is a rather expensive new release, sitting at $140 retail, but I think it is because of the quality of the fragrance notes that are in it, the density, the concentration. It is an eau de parfum concentration and EDP. I'm actually a little bit surprised at how aromatic this is in terms of how it's carrying itself. It's acting in terms of projection in a way that typically eau de toilettes do, because they cover a much wider scent bubble. But that's what kind of surprises me about this, is that it's projecting really well off my skin. How does it smell in terms of where you would wear it? Just like some Polo fragrances, which are created to be casual fragrances, but they do carry this kind of upscale feeling or vibe to them, similar to the way that Dior wears, like a Dior Homme, where you can wear it to an event that is upscale, a situation where you're dressed up. Definitely do so with Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense, because nothing about the refinement has changed. It's just that intensity. You know, it's more of an aromatic fragrance. It's more dense. It creates a longer trail of scent and a larger bubble of scent as well. This entire line was created for dynamic people. That's the idea behind it. You know, magnetic personalities, big personalities, people that are like caricatures come to life. So, and that makes sense because it's kind of a loud fragrance, but it's also one that it can be used in any kind of circumstance, whether that is a casual circumstance or whether that is a dressed up circumstance. It was created and designed to be a signature fragrance. And so that really hasn't changed. But do you want to plunk down $140 for a fragrance right now? Final thoughts, conclusion of my thoughts on this. As an intense version is going to be one of those that gives you the kind of longevity that you want. So I'm actually looking forward to putting this through its paces and giving you guys a full review as to how long it actually lasts. In my impressions, I'm very impressed, and I'm getting an idea in my head the way that it's carrying itself. It's going to last for a good long time. This is going to be an 8+ hour kind of fragrance. Not necessarily surprising with a fragrance carrying the label intense on it, but $140 of your hard-earned money for this. Yes, you're buying something that's going to last. There's a reason you pay good money for good quality clothing or vehicle, home, or whatever. You want it to last, right? It will outlast those of lesser quality that you can buy multiple of. It's just a lot all at once to put down on a single fragrance. So you can wait until it hits discounters. You know, it's going to be reduced by 30, 40, 50 bucks or more. And as time goes on, depending upon the popularity of it. So that might be something that you want to do. But for now, I definitely understand why it's sitting at a $140 price point, because of the quality and the density and the aromatic nature of the intensity of the fragrance. For those of you that don't like sweet fragrances at all, that didn't really care for choral fantasy, you'll be happy to know that most of the sweetness in this fragrance dies off relatively early. Typically, when you're moving from the mid into the base, most of it's pretty much gone except what's going to stay there and last. You've got this really light, medium kind of sweetness along with the creaminess that's coming off of the vanilla, given power by the lavender, and it's just the right amount of the sweet to carry that refined upscale feeling, and it's just the right amount of sweet to be perfect for casual situations. This one again is going to be one of the more hyper versatile of the line because you can wear it in all kinds of weathers. Now with the amount of vanilla, ginger, and vetiver, nutmeg in it, absolutely automatic, make a great cold weather fragrance, and the intensity is going to push through any amount of layers of clothing. People are going to smell it, and that's what's going to make it a fantastic winter fragrance or cold weather fragrance, but it's also going to carry itself really well in warm weather too. Guys, that's it for my first impressions of Valentino Uomo's Born in Roma Intense. Thanks so much for stopping by to check out today's first impressions video. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.